Hi guys, my name is Victoria Rose. Welcome back to my channel. Today I will be showing you guys on how to create this makeup look in honor of Black History Month. I'm not gonna lie, this one was kind of a challenge for me, trying to find a way to combine these colors in a way that would be good for recreation across the spectrum of skin tones. Personally, if I put certain colors together, let's say putting the yellow on top instead, that it does not look as good for me as a light skinned person as it would on somebody with a darker complexion where that would pop against. So trying to create something here for this month in honor of Black History that works for everybody, because that is what Black History is at this point, inclusivity, and trying to find a way to incorporate this so that everybody can be included, even though I am of the paler skin tone. Personally, I don't know if it's just me or if everybody feels this way, or I shouldn't say everybody, but the majority feels this way. But I feel like as far as Black history goes, we shouldn't have to have a month dedicated to it for educational purposes. That if you're an American, you're an American, regardless of your skin tone, your race, your ethnicity, things like that. So when teaching history, we should just automatically be including that in the curriculum. That yes, it is good for other purposes to have a month specifically honoring Black history, but aside from that, we need to be doing better as far as education goes and including this just within our general teachings of American history. But that's just my 2 cents on it. I'm just one person and I'm not Black, so really at the end of the day, my opinion does not stand for much, if anything at all. So just take that with a grain of salt. I'm curious what other people think though, if you agree with me on this, and if not, why not? So if you could leave me a comment on that down below, I'd highly appreciate it. I apologize, my lashes here are being a little funky today, so they are on there, but they're probably not on there the best. So when I take a picture for this look for the cover of the thumbnail, do not hate too much, please. I'm short on time. I actually have to be getting ready to go here in a few minutes to get ready for my job. Unfortunately, I have to go in a little earlier today, so that makes me a little more short on time for this. I think that's it for you guys beforehand. We are going to jump right into it. So if you guys are wondering why I look a little different right now, it's because I ran out of time to film this part of this video before I left to go into my main job. So here we are trying to film it now for you guys before I have to go take off this for the rest of the night. Anyway, I wanted to take some time to reflect on some of the influential Black leaders in American history, being that this video is on Black History Month here in the United States. I'm going to name off and discuss a few. Obviously, this isn't a complete list of leaders in America, but it is a few. Some are noted, more common, more referenced, and others are not. So I'm going to add a variety of people. If you see me looking down into this corner over here, that's because that is where my screen is that I am reading off of. The first one is Sadie Tanner Mossel Alexander. She was a writer. She lived from 1898 to 1989. She was native to Philadelphia, and she was the first Black woman to receive a PhD in economics and get her law degree from Penn Law School. She was also the first African American woman to practice law in Pennsylvania. Kobe Bryant, who was born in 1978, as we know, was an NBA star humanitarian and an influential activist in the media. He died this past year in 2020, unfortunately, due to the helicopter crash that not only took him, but his daughter. Then there is Bessie Coleman. She was the first Black woman to fly an airplane. She lived from 1892 to 1926. Claudette Colvin, often not as referenced in American history as Rosa Parks. She actually, at the age of 15, refused to give up her seat on the bus to a white person several months before Rosa Parks took the same stance. She was born in 1939 and, according to my reference point here, is still alive today. Another name not so often referenced would be Frances Harper. She was a poet that was born in 1825 and lived to 1911. She died in Philadelphia. She was already born free, meaning that she was never enslaved, and she lived originally in Baltimore. She was an abolitionist, suffragist, poet, teacher, public speaker, and writer. She was one of many that helped slaves escape using the Underground Railroad all the way up to Canada. In 1894, she co-founded the National Association of Colored Women. This organization was used to help progress efforts towards Black women, where she also served as vice president for this society. Couple of well-known rappers would be Nipsey Hussle, Lil Baby, who, if I'm correct, actually won an award this past year in 2020 for the most singles released in a year. I could be wrong exactly on that, so somebody can feel free to leave me a correction down in the comments if I'm wrong on that. Another favorite of mine that recently passed away is Juice WRLD. He was known for his piece in the song PTSD, along with several other great songs out there, but that is just one of my favorites. There's the well-known Serena Williams. She is a tennis player. She came from Compton and is currently seen as the world's #1 tennis player. She has won 23 major single titles, and this is the most out of any man or woman in the open era today. So, of course, that is not a complete list in entirety. It is just a few. I'd like to hear from you guys, particularly members of the Black community. Are any of these names I listed influential to you? If not, is there somebody else in American history as far as Black leaders that were particularly influential to you and that you can relate to any degree? First, I'm going to go in with the NYX HD Photo Ready Concealer in the shade Porcelain, and I am going to draw lines on my under eyes, kind of right where my cheeks start, and on the top of my eyelids put on some dots. Next, I'm going to go in with the Revlon Photo Ready Color Correcting Concealer, and again applying a line under my under eye and dots to my eyelids. I'm going to use my Beauty 360 mini blending brush and bounce that on my skin to blend that in. Next, I'm going to take my NYX Pore Filler, and because this consistency on this is a little thicker, I'm just going to use my fingers to apply it directly to my face, mainly in my T-zone areas and on the sides of my cheeks. I feel like the makeup around my nose and where I would put my blush wears off the most throughout the day, particularly nowadays with the required mask usage. For foundation, I'm going to use the Makeup Forever Ultra HD foundation. I think it's Y255. I don't know. I will have it linked down below. I'm going to go in with a full-size beauty blender and apply some to my face and dots, and then work its way out up through my forehead, covering my nose and cheeks, and just blending that in using the same bouncing motions that I use to blend in my concealer. I'm going to take the remainder and apply it on my neck and underneath my chin and just blending it out. I'm going to take the Morphe x James Charles palette and go into the fourth shade from the right, which is this hot red color. It doesn't really look like it on camera. It looks a little more peachy-ish, but seriously, it is. I'm going to take my Morphe M321 pencil brush
and use that with that red shade to start to carve out where my crease is going to be. For now, we're going to make a slight wave-like line where it's not completely straight across. It's almost a little arched, but that will make more sense later when the entire look comes together. I'm going to go back in with that NYX Color Correcting Concealer and start to carve out where the crease is going to be, and I will be going back in with another shade on top of it. I used an angled liner brush to create that cut crease, and next I will be going in with a concealer brush to pack on this yellow shade in the James Charles palette. The brush I had used is by a company that no longer exists the same way today. It is very comparable, however, to the Morphe M421 concealer brush. I'm going to take my Sigma E55 eye shading brush. I use this to create a more dense layer with the yellow, and then I'm going in to create my outer corners of this eye look with the dark green shade from the James Charles palette. If you guys couldn't tell, I have tape on the outer corners of my eyes. I placed it just below the very corner of my upper eyelid and put it on a slant to help create this slanted eye look. By adding the tape, it helps create a nice sleek line without having to do so much cleanup with concealer afterward. I continue to create the shape and pack it on, going all the way into about the middle almost of my eyelid and angling up to where the red is and blending in with the red. I'm going to use that same concealer brush to pack on some of that green shade where my hooded eyes kind of crease, and it kind of makes it hard sometimes to get a nice crisp blend and shape going on in there. While we have a minute, if you guys like what you have seen thus far in this video on Black American history and the cool little eye look to go along with it, please don't forget to leave me a like and maybe even a comment with your favorite part of this video down below. I use a chisel shader brush to pack on the red and green shades onto the lower lash line and to shape the inner corners up top a little bit more. For inner corner and brow bone highlight, I use the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer in this golden shade, and I apply that to the middle portions of my eyes and up around the brow bone, blending into the red on the lower lash line and up into the red and yellow up top. The type of brush I use to apply the highlight to these areas is an angled liner brush. Morphe and Sigma both have them, along with many other brands, so you don't really have to go too fancy or stick exactly with what I have. Next, I'm going to do my eyebrows. For brows, I use my favorite, which is the NYX Micro Brow Pencil in shade Ash Brown. Then I take another angled liner brush and go into the Benefit Foolproof Brow Powder in shade number 4. I apply the lighter shade in angled strokes to the middle corners, inner corners of my eyebrows, and then start to blend into the darker shade out to the outer arches and the tips. For bronzer, as usual, I use the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer in the lightest shade. I prefer to use a flathead kabuki brush for this. However, you can also use a angled contouring brush for this area. Sometimes, depending on your face shape or the look you are trying to achieve, that does work better, but for me personally, this is just my go-to and my favorite. For blush, I use the Sigma Large Angled Contour brush, which is number F40 for applying my blush. The type of blush I used was the Physicians Formula Butter Blush in their lighter shade. Because of my face shape and the look I am trying to achieve today, I do not apply this to the apples of my cheeks, but instead towards the outer corners, working up into my ears and up by where the eyeshadow is, just below where I would put my highlight.
Okay guys, this is the finished makeup look. Just for reference, some of the products that I used that were not shown on camera were the, where is it? Where did I stick that? For eyeliners, I used the NYX Epic Ink Liner in black. And one thing is, I'm going to say if you use this, and maybe it's just because of having the hooded eyes, that it kind of goes like ripply wavy when you get over into this area on the eye, so just be careful with that. For the waterline, I use the Essence Long Lasting 24 hour? No, it's just the Essence Long Lasting Eye Pencil in black. And as always, my Cassage eyelash curler. This is my fave. So I'd like to hear from you guys, particularly people of color. What would you do to change up this look to better match your skin tone or your eye shape? If you could leave me a comment on that down below, I'd appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so then you guys will be notified of any future videos I post. I almost forgot to add in for you guys, I'm not doing lip makeup with this look today just because I have to be going into work immediately afterwards and having the mask rub on, and I don't want to chance that smearing all over my face. But personally, products I would use with this look are the is a dark burgundy lip pencil. The brand I have right now is actually no longer, so we won't go based off of that. But the rest of the products for the lip look. Okay, so the one product is by Kat Von D Beauty, and it is the same shade as this Sephora lip gloss. The Sephora lip gloss looks like this. It is a dark burgundy shade in the shade Virginia. I will link down below an option other than the Kat Von D product and the Kat Von D product down there, so then you guys have that for reference. I personally just felt that this shade was good for varying skin tones. Obviously, if you need a different shade, you don't have to stick with this, but it was just an option that I felt was good and a good representation of the culture for the look and to go along with the look. That is all I have for you guys today. Until next time, bye!